Hello students, welcome again. As you can see, this chapter is about completing the accounting cycle. In the previous chapter, we have learned about the adjusting the accounts, where we have learned that certain accounts like prepaid expenses, unearned revenues, something like that, these type of accounts need adjustment at the end of the accounting period so that they show the right balance or the actual balance that should have been shown. So some account need adjustment, and how to do the adjustment, we have seen about the adjusting entries. There we have seen about how the adjusting entries are posted to the respective ledger account. Then after that we have seen that how the adjusted trial balance is prepared. Okay, so this chapter is about the accounting cycle. We have already talked about that. Accounting is a process. There are several steps there, and this process of accounting, since it continues from time to time and it doesn't end normally and it goes on and on, so this accounting process can also be said and termed as accounting cycle. So in this chapter we will complete the whole accounting process or accounting cycle for a service organization. So be with us. So what will be our objective in this chapter? We will we'll learn about how to prepare worksheet. We will learn about how to prepare the closing entry. And since it is the last chapter of the accounting process or completing the accounting process or cycle, we will review the steps in the accounting cycle here for your better understanding, right? And also we'll review the correcting entries thing we have learned in chapter 2. We thought that it would be better that if we review the correcting entries here again. And at the end of this chapter's discussion, we will talk about classified balance sheet, which means that you'll see that the balance sheet items or assets or liabilities, they have to be classified. They have to be classified into some category, and we'll learn about them in the last video, inshallah. Okay, these will be our objectives throughout the chapter. So before going to our topic here, first let me tell you that from chapter 3 we have seen that in the accounting process we have learned about we have learned about the adjusting entries, right? We have learned about the adjusting entries or journals there, and after that we have seen that this adjusting entry journal will be posted to the ledger. So every ledger account will or not every, some of the ledger accounts related to the adjusting entry, this journal will be posted there. And since the journal will be posted there, the balance of the ledger accounts will change, and we can prepare the adjusted trial balance with the new account balances. So we have seen them in chapter 3 that we can do that, right? And after the adjusted trial balance or from the adjusted trial balance, we can prepare income statement and balance sheet. So you know about this step from chapter 3, right? But here I have a question for you. My question is, suppose if I will tell you to prepare these 5 things, okay, in your exam, how much time will it take? 1 hour? 2 hours? 3 hours? And some of you might tell me that, okay, I will need at least 6 hours to do that, because that will be a long process. I have to do the ledger, I have to change the balance, I have to do the trial balance again, I have to prepare the income statement, balance sheet. It will take a lot of time. Actually, you may be true. But what if I tell you we have a shortcut for doing all the 5 things I have mentioned here? And that shortcut is known as the worksheet. Okay, so this video is all about the worksheet. This video and the following some videos are all about the worksheet. To keep the video short or within 15 minutes, we have divided the worksheet type video into 2 categories, into 2 segments. Okay, so the worksheet. What is a worksheet? It's a multiple column form used in the adjustment process and preparing financial statement. You'll see that in the next few slides, you'll see that there will be multiple column in the worksheet, and this column you'll use for the whole adjustment process. Okay, And you can also prepare the financial statement from the worksheet. You will see, no worry about that. And one thing, always remember that worksheet is not a permanent accounting record like ledger. Worksheet, we are doing it for our own purpose to know about the adjustment process in a single place, but it's not a permanent accounting record. Suppose some company do not maintain worksheet, doesn't mean that it is not keeping the record in the proper way. Okay. And this worksheet is prepared using the 5-step process. Okay, there are 5 steps in preparing the worksheet. We will see here in this video, and also we will try to solve a particular problem related to worksheet, so you will understand better there, I guess. Okay. And again, always remember that use of worksheet is optional. That means if you don't, it is not mandatory, and it is not a rule imposed by the accounting regulatory that you must prepare worksheet. It's not like that. Using or preparing the worksheet is an optional. Some company prefer to do it, some company do not, and that's not a problem. Okay, great. So now, this is how a worksheet look like. You'll see that there are some debit, credit, right? And if you count them, there will be 10 debit, credit side. And each 2 debit, credit composed of a particular segment. There are trial balance, there are adjustment or adjusting entries here. There are 2 columns for adjusted trial balance. There are 2 columns for income statement. There are 2 columns for balance sheet. So there are 5 types of item here, and every item has 2 sides for debit and credit. And then at the first you have the accounts title. That's the account title. That means every ledger account has a separate title. Suppose cash account, accounts payable account, account receivable account. This name will be written here. So that's a very easy. It's a form, 10 column form. We can do many things here. We can do the trial balance. We can do the adjusting entries. We can do the adjusted trial balance. We can also do the income statement and balance sheet here. We'll see how. No worry. So without any delay, we move on to the steps. Okay. The first step of worksheet. Prepare a trial balance on the worksheet, and that's a very simple step, because you'll get the value of this from the ledger directly. So if you have the ledger book prepared, you can just take the value account balances from there, and you will just do the trial balance in this particular area. You write the accounts title here of each account. Then you will put the value here. If it is debit balance, if it has debit balance, you'll write them in the debit side. If it has credit balance like them, you'll write it in the credit side. As simple as that, right? So here you don't have to prepare the trial balance separately. Here you can prepare the trial balance just using this 2 numerical column and 1 account title column. And as trial balance, the 2 side must balance. You'll also add the 2 side, and you'll find out that the 2 side of the trial balance, they must balance. Okay, so here they have mentioned that trial balance amounts come directly from the ledger account. We have seen that we can prepare the trial balance for the ledger account. So in the worksheet, we can also prepare the trial balance in the worksheet. Okay, so this is our first step. We will prepare the trial balance in the worksheet, or we will input the trial balance in the worksheet. Suppose in your exam, you may be given the trial balance. So with the you just have to use the trial balance and input the trial balance here. That's not the most difficult part here. That's the least difficult part here. You just have to copy. You just have to copy the trial balance. If the balance of ledger is given, you just copy and write the trial balance amount in the right place. Asset account, expense account, you will put them in the debit side. Liability account, revenue account, you will put them in the credit side. Also the owner's capital, credit side, drawings, debit side. So you know these things from chapter 1 and 2. So don't worry about them for now. So step 1 done. After step 1, in the worksheet you have a step 2. Enter adjustments. That means enter the adjusting entries. Okay. So in this chapter we will not learn about the adjusting entry, because we have learned about adjusting entries in detail in chapter 3. That's the chapter before that, right? So you can recall about, we have learned adjusting entry related to supplies, insurance, depreciation, service revenue or unearned service revenue, etc. Right? So here, for our illustration purpose, we have provided you some 7 adjusting entries information. Suppose the first adjusting entry is supplies expense debit, supplies credit by 1500. There are more 6 different adjusting entries here. So now our job is not to learn the adjusting entry. Now our job is to learn how to do the adjusting entries or how to input the adjusting entries in the worksheet. Okay, you got my point. So that will make it clear. Look about here that these two column are for the adjusting entries or adjustments. Okay, so if for any type of adjusting entry, you will use the 2 column. You will not use any other column other than this 2. Okay, think about the first adjusting entries. Supplies used. What is the adjusting entries for supplies used? Very simple. Supplies expense debit, supplies credit, right? So we know that, and the amount was 1500. How can we input that in the worksheet? We have to look about the accounts. Here we have to check that whether the supplies expense account is here or not. Okay, look at here, and after some time you will find out that there is no supplies expense account here. The supplies expense account needs to be debit, but there is no supplies expense account in my ledger. So I don't have to be depressed about that. I can always input or always add the additional accounts in this particular space. So whenever you'll be preparing manually the adjusting entries, keep space after your trial balance, because you need newer accounts which were not present in your trial balance. So same thing goes for the supplies expense. The supplies expense was not, this account was not visible or was not there, but you are writing it. Since you need the account right now, you will just input the supplies expense here, and you know that the supplies expense account must be debited. So you will, this 2 column are the adjusting entries. So this is the debit side, supplies expense debit side. You will write the 1500 on the debit side, which will signify that supplies expense account was debited by 1500. And whenever supplies expense account will be debited by 1500, supplies account will be created. Do we have the supplies account here? Of course we have. We have the supplies account here. So this account needs to be created in the adjustment entry column. Credit side of the adjustment column. So supplies debit by 1500. Sorry, supplies expense debit by 1500 and supplies credit by 1500. So the first adjusting entry input is done. What about the second one? Again, I am telling you that in this chapter we will not learn about the adjusting process, adjusting entries. I hope you have already understood that from chapter 3. In this chapter, I am just telling you about how to input the adjustment entries into the worksheet. The process actually. Okay. So second adjustment is about the insurance expired. So we know that the journal for insurance expired is insurance expense debit, prepaid insurance credit. Similar things will go here. We don't find any insurance expense accounts here. So we have to create the insurance expense account here. So we'll write insurance expense. We will use the debit side of the adjusting entry. We'll write the $50 insurance expired here. Insurance expense debit by 50. And we know that when insurance expense is debit, the prepaid insurance account will be credit. So here we know that we have a prepaid insurance account. So in the adjustment column, we will credit $50 in the prepaid insurance row. Prepaid insurance row, $50 credit. $50 debit, $50 credit. You got our point. So whenever you prepare the adjusting entry, this column is for the account title. Whatever title you need, you will try to find out there. If it is not here, you will write that, or you'll add the accounts title here in the following space. Okay. And whenever you will do the adjustment entry, don't just use this 2 column. Okay. Some people mistakenly will go to other column. Please don't do that. Whenever you will be in the adjustment entry part, you will just use this 2 column. Some accounts which needs to be debited, you will use the debit side. Some accounts that need to be credited, you will use the credit side. Okay, great. So after inputting all the adjustment entry, your adjustments column will look like this. 7 accounts will be created, or 7 items will be created, and 7 accounts will be debited. So you will write them, the amount will be equal. So at the end, you will also have to add the debit side and credit side here, and you will find that the debit must equal the credit if you haven't done mistake. Okay. So this is how the adjustment entries are inputted in the worksheet. Okay. So here we will be stop. I will stop our video here to keep the video short. In the next video, immediately next video, I will complete the accounting, complete the worksheet process. Okay, the whole 5 process. So thank you for your patience. We will meet again immediately after this particular video. Okay, thank you.